Okay, welcome back to Game on Hay. We know what's going to happen, or what's going to start to happen anyway. New Zealand batting first in Sharjah, Namibia having won the toss there. New Zealand keeping the same side. We'll have a look at both teams actually right now. Namibia had to make a couple of changes. So if we have a look at those teams, all being well, we'll show you exactly who's going to play in this contest coming up soon. So New Zealand keep the same 11 that has shown good form the last couple of games. Guptill back in form with that 93 a couple of days ago. Mitchell, of course, has opened throughout. He used to be a middle-order batsman, but he's now enjoying himself at the top of the order, and the rest is as before. With that very strong-looking bowling attack, plenty of good pace and good spin as well. For Namibia, if we move on to them and check out their changes, check out their team. Stefan Bard came in for the last game to open the innings, looked promising. Van Lingen has been there throughout. Craig Williams used to open, but he's now down to 3. Hellat Erasmus has got injury problems, but he's battling his way through. He's battling the pain on that finger and will be fine. David Wiese is, of course, their relative superstar. He's the man who hits the ball a long way, bowls those useful overs in the middle, and will be a vitally important cog in their machine today. JJ Smith, Lofty Eaton, the spinner. Zane Green has kept well. He makes a few runs in the middle there. Coming into the team is Birkenstock, Carl Birkenstock, seam bowler. Chomperman has been probably their best seamer, their most effective new ball bowler. And we'll be interested to see what he does against New Zealand today. Schultz, he was in the team. Bernard Schultz was in the team at the start of the tournament. Missed out the other day. Shikongo came in. They're missing Freilink as well, by the way, who's actually been their leading wicket taker. But that's the team. They've chosen to field first to see what they can do chasing down later in the day. But, of course, they're up against a very good New Zealand team.
Yes, New Zealand team that would be very, very determined to get these 2 points and go for the semi-finals. But, yes, Namibia has looked good. Trumpelman and Freilink at the top have troubled a few batters, but today he will be missing his partner there. He'll be up against, these New Zealand bowling will be up against Martin Guptill, who has come into form. लास्ट मैच में 93 रन उन्होंने स्कॉटलैंड के अगेंस्ट बनाए 56 डिलीवरीज पे. उसका पैकेज भी देखते हैं और उसके साथ हम अपने पैनलिस्ट से बात भी करते हैं. राशिद भाई, कितना इंपॉर्टेंट होगा गप्टिल का इस वक्त टूर्नामेंट में फॉर्म पे आना, ना सिर्फ इस मैच के लिए पर टूर्नामेंट?
पोजीशन अगर देखते हैं तो बहुत तगड़ी नहीं है. नामीबिया हो गई है, स्कॉटलैंड है, 2 के खिलाफ, और 2 मेजर टीम के खिलाफ आपने क्या किया वो देखना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. अगेंस्ट इंडिया, अगेंस्ट पाकिस्तान, तो लेकिन इनके अपने लिए बहुत अच्छा है और बड़ा परफॉर्म किया पास्ट में इन्होंने. और दोबारा बैटिंग आई है इनकी. पहले अच्छी प्रैक्टिस न्यूजीलैंड को मिल रही है सेमीफाइनल से पहले कि पहले ये बैटिंग कर रही हैं, पहले बैटिंग कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि मोस्टली टीम कोशिश कर रही है कि अपनी प्रैक्टिस पहले बैटिंग करके करें. तो इनको 2 मौके मिले और उनको भरपूर फ़ायदा उठाना चाहिए. पिछले मैच में ये आउट हो गए थे जल्दी 173, लेकिन 93 रन किए थे गप्टिल ने. जो रिमेनिंग प्लेयर्स हैं, जो बल्लेबाज हैं, तो उनको परफॉर्म करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. बैटर जो हैं उनको लास्ट जो नॉकआउट का मैच है उससे पहले इस इनिंग को भरपूर फ़ायदा उठाना चाहिए.
बिल्कुल भरपूर फ़ायदा उठाना चाहिए. मैं आप लोगों के पास उनकी बॉलिंग के साथ भी आऊँगी. एनीथिंग द इंग्लिश पैनल वांट्स टू talk about for Martin Guptill and his form at this stage of the event?
Well, we can ask Viv. I mean, here's a guy who's been around for quite some time, made stacks of runs in all forms, lots of runs in ODIs over the years. Been a bit short of runs this year, both in things like PSL, where I've watched him, others have watched him too, of course, and in this tournament until a couple of days ago, he's been a bit quiet. So that will do him an absolute power of good, and of course will lift the team as well.
Well, to be fair, he did his best work against Scotland just recently. Now he's got Namibia. I believe he will look to continue.
Well, I hope so. Let's put it this way: if he's taken a conscious decision not to continue that way, I'd be very worried. But
yeah, because he's now in some nick. He's found some form, and I guess it isn't an Australia or one of the top teams of such. So I guess he'll be looking to continue the good work which he was started against Scotland.
I'd hope so. I'd hope so. If we look at the next topic, if we look at the bowling, actually, let's think about Namibia's bowling. They are missing Ian Freilink today, who is their leading wicket taker in this sector of this T20 World Cup. Trumpelman we've talked a lot about before because he's He's the most impressive, I think, of these. But when you look at that side, you sort of fear, if you look at the two of them, you'd fear Trumpelman more than Freiling. The figures suggest that Freiling actually has been the better wicket taker and slightly more economical.
I think the Trumpelman is a proper, you can say, international bowler. But when it comes to bowling in Sharjah, he's good at pitching up and swinging in. But in Sharjah, the pitch suggests you need to bang on hard length. So he has to change his tactics and, okay, first 1 or 2 ball, pitched up, and you can get a batsman out early on. And afterwards, he has to change his length today. But from now onward, these associate teams will have a tough time from the New Zealand, India. The other day, we saw how aggressive was Aussies against Bangladesh, because it's not winning, it's more than a winning now.
When this is him doing what he does best, giving the ball at the start of the power play, the chance to get up there and swing and move. And I think you can still take that risk, can't you?
I mean, look, he needs something in the pitch as well.
Yeah.
When there is some moisture or grass on the pitch, he can be very dangerous with his first 2-3 overs. But I would love to see in Sharjah how he responded, because there's no grass, there is nothing else, no moisture. So he has to change his tactics today.
उमर भाई
Go.
जो बड़ा अच्छा लगा ट्रम्पलमैन के बारे में, जो इन्होंने पाकिस्तान को ऊपर से काफ़ी बॉक डाउन रखा, दोनों बैटर्स को, बाबर आजम और रिजवान को, कि रूम बिल्कुल नहीं देते, विकेट टू विकेट बॉल रखते हैं, बड़े डिसिप्लिन बॉलिंग इन्होंने की है. तो क्या कहेंगे आज कितना ये प्रॉब्लम कर सकते हैं, और फ्राइलिंग का ना होना कितना नामीबिया को हर्ट कर सकता है?
डिपेंड ऑन द पिच. अगर आप लास्ट मैच देखें तो उसमें पिच थोड़ा सा सपोर्टिंग था बॉलर्स के लिए, उसमें थोड़ा सा आगे से भी बॉल मूव हो रहा था, स्विंग भी हो रहा था. और जहाँ तक आज के मैच की बात है तो आई थिंक अर्ली ऑन ऑड 1 बॉल अगर स्विंग हो गया तो अदरवाइज उसको बैकअप द लेन, जिस तरह हम बार बार बात कर रहे हैं कि 6 to 8 मीटर्स जो है ना यहाँ पे बहुत इफेक्टिव है. लेकिन वो भी अगर आपकी थोड़ी सी अच्छी पेस हो तो यहाँ पे उसको अपने लेंथ को चेंज करना होगा, लाइन और लेंथ को. ऑब्वियसली लेंथ तो उसकी सही है, मिडल में कर रहा है, लेकिन लेंथ करना होगा. जहाँ तक आप फ्राइलिंग की बात कर रहे हैं तो मेरे ख्याल से उसकी जो पेस हो, जितने वेरिएशन वो कर रहा था यहाँ पे, थोड़ा बहुत वो इफेक्टिव हो सकता था, क्योंकि उसके इतनी पेस नहीं, लेकिन अपने वेरिएशन को बड़े अच्छे तरीके से यूज़ कर रहा था. और हम सबको जिस तरह पता है कि शारजा की जो पिचेस है स्लो है, लो है, तो आई थिंक इफेक्टिव हो सकता था इन केस कि वो यहाँ पे आपको जो पेस आ रहे ऑफ द पिच जो पेस है वो आपको अलाउ नहीं करता कि आप फ्रीली बाउंड्री स्पेशली चौके आप लगाए. आपको एक ही चांस है कि आप बड़ी हिट मार ले. तो आई थिंक ऑब्वियसली उनका रेगुलर वो बॉलर था, अच्छे रेगुलर कंसिस्टेंसी के साथ बॉलिंग कर रहा था, और इकॉनमी बड़ी अच्छी थी. अगर आप उसकी इकॉनमी देख ले तो ज़बरदस्त इकॉनमी थी. आई थिंक थोड़ा बहुत फ़र्क पड़ा हुआ उनको, थोड़ा बहुत
फ़र्क ज़रूर पड़ेगा. नामीबिया को आपको बहादुरी के तो क्रेडिट देना पड़ेगा. जनरली हम देखते हैं बड़ी टीम के साथ मैच होता है, कुछ टीम्स खुद ही बैटिंग लेके निकल जाती हैं. जैसे बांग्लादेश को हमने इंग्लैंड के अगेंस्ट देखा कि उन्होंने खुद बारी करने की कोशिश की और बहुत जल्दी मैच ख़त्म हो गया. इनकी आपको करेज की भी दाद देनी पड़ेगी कि नहीं.
कैप्टन कौन है? बैट्समैन है,
ऑलराउंडर है.
नहीं, जरूरत नहीं है करेज की मेरे ख्याल से. आप अज़हर बताएंगे.
नहीं आपको
न्यूजीलैंड को आप मौका दे रहे हैं कि बहुत बड़ा टोटल देने के लिए, तो वो टीम
पर चांस ले रहे हैं ना कि आप अपनी बॉलिंग पे चांस ले रहे हैं कि क्या हम इनको जल्दी आउट कर
ये कमेंट मैं मैच के बाद कर सकता हूँ.
मैच के बाद तो हो ही सकता है.
देखिए उनका, अगर हम जो बात कर रहे हैं ना, उनकी अगर आप स्ट्रेंथ देखें तो उनकी बैटिंग में ज़्यादा स्ट्रेंथ है. तो वो ये चाह रहे हैं कि हम न्यूजीलैंड को करें और फिर जो भी टोटल वो बोर्ड पे डालते हैं उसको हम चेस डाउन करने की कोशिश करें. तो जैसे इसकी बात हो रही थी ट्रम्पमैन की, ट्रबलमैन
प्रोनाउंस करने में भी
ट्रबलमैन नहीं, उसमें देखिए अर्ली ऑन जो है ना वो बॉल तो स्विंग होता है. मतलब आप कहीं किसी भी कंडीशन में नया बॉल आपके हाथ में है और इसकी क्वालिटी ये है कि इसकी विस्ट बिहाइंड द बॉल होती है, सीम के पीछे होता है, तो स्विंग हो सकता है इसमें. और जो बैट्समैन हैं, जैसे हम बात करें गुप्तल की बात करें, गुप्तल सामने अच्छा खेलते हैं. गुप्तल की स्ट्रेंथ ये है कि ऑन द अप अच्छी मारते हैं, लेकिन अर्ली ऑन जब बॉल स्विंग होता है ना तो अंदर आते हुए बॉल पे उनको प्रॉब्लम होती है. अब मिचेल को आप देखें, उनकी हाई बैक लिफ्ट है, अगर बॉल आगे फेंकते हैं तो उसमें चांस उनका बन सकता है कि उनको आउट करने का. लेकिन उसके बाद जैसे हमने बात की कि जो स्टैट्स भी शो करते हैं, सारा कुछ शो करता है कि आपको अपनी लेंथ जो है पहले ओवर के बाद जो है अगर कुछ नहीं आपको हेल्प नहीं मिल रही देन आपको अपनी लेंथ को ड्रैग बैक करना पड़ेगा 6 से 8 मीटर की लेंथ।
बिल्कुल ठीक है। Of course, another chance for New Zealand to set up and improve on their first batting performance. Yeah.
Well, I think in the end we can talk about all sorts of things, but actually it's just about winning the game, isn't it? For them, they just know that if they carry on winning, make sure they get the points in the bag today, make sure they avoid any embarrassment against Afghanistan at the end, then they know they're in that semi-final, and the other team that we don't mention much that comes from south of the border here will not be in the semi-final. I mean, that's the big incentive, I think, for when you look at these top teams, the teams that are now contending for these semi-final places. There is obviously the usual rivalry, which is good teams wanting to beat other good teams. You can throw a bit of world politics in there as well if you really want to. But let's face it, India as the side that has been touted weeks ago as a possible winner of this tournament and who've had a really tough time of it until the last game, for New Zealand to get ahead of them will be another feather in the cap. And if you go back to the summer in the UK with that World Test Championship, where it was New Zealand against India, vying for the title of World Test Champions, with India expected to win it again because they're India, New Zealand showing that their spirit that they've shown for 20, 30, 40 years now was good enough to take that title. I think a lot of people were very happy just to see the way that pitched up and worked out. So all these things are still very relevant as we edge towards the start of this game today, and as we edge towards the semi-finals coming up in, just under a week's time now. I mean, that's of course, that's the business end. We've got to get through these final few games first.
Well, certainly, and I know for sure that Namibia would like to finish this whole tournament on a high. They may have different thoughts going into this match as well. If you don't back yourself, who's going to back you? You're going to start with yourself and just hope. Live in hope. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
I think today we might come to know that which team is cruising between New Zealand and India, isn't it?
I love the way you say that with that hugely mischievous smile on his face. They're very mischievous, Javed. Well, I mean, that pitch in Sharjah today, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that as well, because when the guys were talking about it, when Nasser Hussain was talking about it just now, and talking about the lengths and the appearance. Actually, Aaqib, you've told me before about how they prepare that pitch in Sharjah with a bit of matting first.
Yeah, it's because there is no grass, only the mud and soil. They spray the water and then they lay down the jute sheet and they roll over it until it's dry, and then they take it off, and sometimes it surprises you a bit wet.
Grass has grown.
Sometimes it happens.
Sometimes it's too dry, sometimes
it's too moisture in it. When it's moisture on it, it's steam and turn it.
Maybe we'll be hoping for that today.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you very much indeed for your thoughts this day. We've got live action coming to you from Sharjah, so let's join it right now. Game on Hay.